Let's take a look at US Canadian, a pair which may be ready to sell off or may not be ready. I'm going to go over both cases because it's possible that the sell-off can start. There are a number of factors that are involved that are hinting that a sell-off is just about to appear. Though there's a second case that it may take a few months more. So first let me go over the case that the sell-off is ready to take place. Okay, so if you look on the monthly, this is the monthly chart that I posted on Twitter. We have on the stochastics coming up to the 80 line, which is signaling that there's some type of exhaustion coming into the market. We also have overall a messy, time-wasting, corrective movement in price going back to August 2017. Going down to the weekly time frame, we have here what may be an impulsive move, which took place, when was that? In January and February. And if you look over here, I mean, if you compare the two, if you compare this one to this, you can see which looks impulsive and which looks corrective. I mean, this has much more of a choppy, overlapping nature to it. Going down to the daily, here is where the sell setup really looks good, because across here you have a new high made on Wednesday and Thursday, and a very small black shooting star there. Small, but sometimes that's okay in the market. You have a new high. The stochastics here are signaling bearish negative divergence. If that's to kick in and take place, we need to see a hard sell-off now. So that is a possible sell setup here. There is also a another indicator which is not on the screen, but that is that Canadian dollar bulls are down to 10%. That's a very low number. Anything beneath 15% is very bearish. So that's at an extreme reading for Canadian dollar bulls. So if we're going to see the start of a bearish move from here this coming week with the FOMC on Wednesday, we're going to want to see this level broken down, this trend going back to January 2018. We're going to want to see that destroyed. And on the lower time frame, on the 4 hours, we're going to want to see a corrective bounce. So for example, if this here hold on one second, what the hell happened to this? If this here morphs into a bearish pattern and becomes more powerful, we are going to want to see the typical type of corrective flag pattern coming over here, or some type of sideways correction. So that will appear into Tuesday and Wednesday if it's going to take place. So the bearish case is there, particularly with the bearish divergence on the daily. The look of an impulsive move here in January and February, and the stochastics being up in the 80 line there. So there is the possibility that this is being exhausted. So that's one to look for. Now, I have another view that I posted on Twitter where the bear case is not yet ready. And what I'm looking at here is that this move, and this was one of the best trades, this was the best trade in 2017. I think this or you're in New Zealand. This is completed. I'm looking at this as 3 waves here and done. So I'm labeling it as W. And clearly this is corrective. So I am not looking for this to make a new all-time high above 145. Not all-time, but new within the overall correction from 2007. I'm not looking for this to go above 145 again. What I think is likely to take place here, if it's not going to start this week, is that we will see a new move above the January high into the 137, 138 level. and then the start of a bearish move. I would see this up here to a new high above January as an X wave, and then we would start a sell-off, breaking trend, and coming back beneath this level, possibly to make some kind of larger corrective pattern going on many years. But that's not important now, and no one knows how that will develop. What is important is that this, from 2017 through to today, is corrective and is likely to see a sell soon. We just don't know if it's going to be this week, for example, with the bearish divergence on the daily, or soon after that. But one or the other is likely, and this is going to set up to a good trade overall. Now, the reason why I mentioned the second option of it not taking off this week is because if you go down to the weekly, this January down move does look bearish. Actually, let me go down to the daily. It's clearer on the daily. But we had many of these in 2016, 2017, before the US Canadian pair sold off. We had many of these. It's sharp down, corrective, sharp down. And that overall is a three-wave move. Now, what that tells me is that three waves by nature are overall corrective, and that it is possible that this move is not the power move we are looking for, because it broke down only into what looks like three. So if it fails to sell off this week with the bearish divergence, and if it fails to break this level and it doesn't offer a sell setup in the next few days, there's a good chance we'll see above the January high towards 138, and then on the monthly, this secondary view can come into play where we see a new high here and then it sells off. So those are the two things to look for. This week will be important, and after that, if it fails to sell off, the new high in the next month or two perhaps, or three, and then in the summer or perhaps the start of autumn, we can see a major sell-off in US Canadian. So it's coming soon, I think. Just a question of when. Okay, cheers.